Without Losing Your Cool is back for another season, talking to incredible people who have overcome and who have paved their own ways. Just when you think that life has got you down, I've got guests that are going to show you that there's always a way back up. You do not want to miss a thing. Welcome to this episode of Without Losing Your Cool. I am so excited to have one of my very good friends here who is a total, absolute rock star. She is so brilliant. She is a badass. She's a creative genius and she's gorgeous. Like, what's not to love about her? She's an interior designer that has had more than 7 shows across the globe about all her beautiful, beautiful creations. Please welcome Danielle Bryk to Without Losing Your Cool.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and showing me your beautiful home.
Okay, I was so nervous to have you in my house. I was like, okay, one of the greatest Toronto designers, I think for sure. Honestly, I was so distracted because I wanted to show. Also, I remember when we were doing this house that we're in, I would text you and I would be like, should we do the spindles black? Should we do the spindles white? Because we had just been at your house and we were putting on some finishing touches of this place. And I didn't, not that I didn't want to make a mistake because I think that's part of the fun.
It is part of the fun.
But I just felt so fortunate to have you in my back pocket.
Aww.
Because honestly, okay, how many houses have you personally renovated with
Of
you?
our own.
Yeah, of your own.
I think we're on 8.
Really?
Maybe. Of our own.
Of your
that
own.
we've actually moved into.
But you've
And
moved more
renovated.
times than that.
Oh, we've moved way more than that.
Because I was like, I think you and I are gunning for first place.
I know. 17 or 18 or 19 times. We've moved for sure. But purchased homes, gutted them, renovated them. I think we're on 8 or 9.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. Okay, so I start every episode with everybody that I have on asking the same question. You're an interior designer and you're also a licensed general contractor, which means, guys out there, you'll never see a meme of her where a man is running up to save the day while she's got a drill in her hand, because this girl knows what to do with a drill. She is a licensed contractor. So I have to ask you, because sitting here with you and knowing you're so intelligent, you're so stunning. Like, you could have been a mom, but you're a contractor. Break that.
Well, it's so much more glamorous, you know. I just love dealing with the pipes in the basement and all of those things, toilet stacks. I don't know. I just fell into this. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no plans. I was just life just kind of happened.
But how? Like, why? Okay, when you're a little girl,
Yes.
what did you dream of being when you were little?
I did actually love architecture.
Okay.
So there is obviously a little bit of a tie in there.
Yes.
But like you, my husband is an actor. And so we moved all the time. And like you, we started our family really young.
So young.
That was so wild when we first met. And we were like, wait, you have 3 kids? Your husband's an actor.
I know.
You're this young. You have all these dogs. It was like, what? And you move all the time and renovate? What is wrong with us? I was like, I've never met somebody as crazy as I am.
Somebody who's as sick in the head as me.
Yes.
Because I mean, it's one thing to be married to an actor.
Oops.
Did we say
Can we
that on
edit
camera?
that
I mean, you have to have a sickness to be married to an actor. Okay, all my friends are like, you can't trust these kinds of guys. You can't trust these guys. And everybody was always like, oh my God, he's an actor. And I'm like, okay, I live with drama 24/7.
So do I.
It's Greg, the most dramatic person you know.
Yes. I had to think about it for 1 second because our daughter is also
A close
very
second?
dramatic. Yeah.
Well, I mean, she comes from his loins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's got to be a little bit of that in there. No, but
Yeah.
it's so funny. People think it's so cool to be married to actors. And I always say, he's lovely,
Yes.
but he's a lot. Right.
Yes. Definitely.
So you and Greg have been together how long?
28 years.
So yes.
28 years. Yeah.
Long time.
Long time.
You had your first baby when?
I was 23.
Right? And how long were you guys together before you had your first?
2 or 3 years. It was a really big surprise.
Really?
Yes, it was a big surprise. Yes.
So now, did you guys want kids?
We knew we wanted kids. And
See?
we knew we wanted lots of kids.
Really?
We just didn't know it was going to be right then. Greg was in theater school. We were both living in New York. We had just finished school. So it really wasn't the ideal time, like in terms of, all the things they tell you it should, like financial security and all these things. None of that.
Well, you know what? And I've said this to our girls, because like you, we have 3. If you are waiting for the exact perfect moment in time to have a family, you're always going to find a good reason not to.
Exactly.
And then before you know it, you're in your 40s and maybe the time has passed you by. Or you try and it's much more challenging to get pregnant. So I feel like falling into the kid thing is perhaps the most ideal way to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
because you'll never be ready.
Exactly. And we got ready pretty fast. Like we had about 9 months to get ready. And I don't regret it though at all. Like I'm so glad that we did it at that time, despite all the hardships in terms of like, moving around all the time, financial upheaval, all of those things. Like it just all worked out anyway.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing too, right? Like I remember Yannick and I talk about this a lot. And I think you and I have this in common where even though we're married to actors, even though their careers have been unstable, right? Sure. Especially in Canada. I just feel like there's not as much to go around in Canada. And if you want to stay here, it's a little bit more of a gamble. Yeah. But I feel like so blessed that I'm a creative person and I've been fortunate enough to have the best of both worlds in that I got to stay home with our kids while also doing what I love. Right. You, I admire and revere so much because not only did you get to do all that, but I mean, you had 6, 7 TV shows doing what you love.
But I fell into that. So this was a long way of coming around to saying, why did we move so much? Well, because we were always just like picking up and moving wherever there was work.
Yeah, 100%.
And then like some of the spaces were really bad. Some of the apartments were terrible, whatever. And I just had to fix them up. Yeah. And I had no money. So I had to do it myself.
Yep.
And that's just how it happened. And I remember at the time almost being resentful of like, God, why do I always have to do this myself? Why can't I just pay someone to do it? But 10 years later, it was like that show happened. It was kind of this weird fluke where they came to our mortgage broker and they said,
no way.
Yeah, a production company came to our mortgage broker and said, we're looking for young families that may have bought a fixer-upper. And she was like, I have just the couple. And that's how it happened. They just came on board and watched us do this one of our houses. And
is that the one on the beach?
Yeah, the one in the beach
where we met you.
Yes,
through Sherry and Jay.
Yes,
remember?
Yeah, and then I realized like afterward, oh my God, all of that time that was so challenging is how I got all my skills. It's how I cut my teeth. It's how I learned to do all of this stuff, and that's why I have the career that I do now. So like I always
see, I love that because that is really how life works if you allow it.
Yes.
That's where the beautiful moments come from, and that's where growth and learning, and that's where the blessings come from. Like literally the challenging parts of life are what really give you what you need and what you actually desire.
Exactly.
To have a beautiful life.
Exactly. Yeah. I know.
So, okay. And then from there you went, and now and if you are watching this and you are better at Google than either she or I, can you please put in the comments what the name of the show is? Because I thought it was Building with Bricks or Building with the Bricks.
It could very well have been.
You said Brick House?
I know I did Brick House for 2 seasons on HGTV. And that happened after
the Beach House.
That first year that we did the Family House, which I know was called Family Under Construction in the States. But in Canada, I believe it might have been called Building Bricks or Brick by Brick.
See?
I don't know.
Gotta let us know. Put it in the comments. Put it in the DMs on Instagram. And then from there, because I remember you did your sister's cottage.
Yes.
Also, right?
Yeah, we did my sister's cottage. That was called Brick Cottage.
Did she like it in the end?
Yes.
Okay, good. Is she still there?
She is. They still have it. They
Wow.
love it. It was a great
She's so not
experience.
related to you.
I know, right? It's
think
like,
she'd still be
I don't know
there.
what's wrong with all these people just staying and having fun and like saving all their money and whatever. So much more fun if you're like, whatever.
Our finance team was always like, so you just moved 3 years ago. And we're like, yeah. You paid land transfer tax 3 years ago, right? And we're like, yeah, but this is a different house. And they're like, yes, but you are throwing away so much. What is wrong? We're sick in the head. Why do we move so much?
Do you think, well, I know like we love creating new spaces. We're both very creative, obviously. And I do find like so much satisfaction in rehabilitating a space. And I know you do too. And like reinventing this next chapter,
Yeah.
And our spaces have a hand in that. But I wonder on a deeper level if we're like addicted to chaos, maybe. I don't know.
I think that's a question for my therapist, Danielle.
I know. Yeah.
No, you know what? I do wonder that sometimes. And you know what? I also wonder, and you tell me if you think this is a possibility. And because sometimes I wonder about me, if all the moving, all the renovating, all the changing of space is a way to control your environment, because we are married to people in occupations that there is zero control. Like I know nobody really has job security, but our entire lives rely on some arbitrary group of people saying, yes, you're the one for the job. So I wonder if even though it's completely out of control,
Yeah.
having roots,
a way of
but I wonder if it's a way of
exercising control. It could be. It's a really stupid way of doing that, isn't it?
and expensive.
I don't know. It could just be that we're
You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to blow lots of money on renovating.
It could also be that we're distracting ourselves from like
I wonder that too. I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, like any deeper
I think we should be having wine right now so we can really heal ourselves.
We're running from something.
Well, I wonder that too.
my
I'm like, and I
gosh.
say that to Yannick actually, and I don't know if you ever have these conversations with Greg, who, by the way, is a brilliant one of Canada's greatest treasures, honestly. And I'm not just saying that because my girlfriend's sitting here. So if you are not familiar with Greg's work, also go check him out. But this is not about the men. They already get a fucking enough accolade. This is about us two bitches here. But I wanted to say, I sometimes ask Yannick if there are issues in our marriage that we're hiding, we're running away from, being distracted from. I'm like, are we together 36 years because we actually get along and like each other? Are we so in chaos by doing this? Like buying houses, gutting them, flipping them, being distracted by all those conversations that are required when you're making a home that you don't actually ever talk about.
The real stuff?
Do you wonder?
Maybe. Oh gosh.
I mean, I know you and Greg, you guys are like us. You're very passionate people.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine you guys don't like throw down. We throw down.
We do. But you know what's so weird? We get along so well when the situation is kind of like survival time.
Really?
Whether it's like, renovating, moving, like raising
every
these
year.
babies,
Right.
new puppies. It's like we somehow gel really well when we need to.
Which is really the most important part of being in a relationship. Like when you're in a relationship, when the shit hits the fan, that's when you need to be united.
Yeah.
So it's good that you have that skill. And also we share, like, how many dogs have we had that are the same? English Bulldog, Boxers.
It's too weird. Like
It's so weird.
It's so strange.
It's like we're sisters in another life or something.
No.
It's
Boxers,
crazy.
Bulldogs. Yeah. And now Frenchies.
Yeah. Well,
What?
Gracie over there she's a third Frenchie, third English, third Staffordshire. She's a shorty
my
bull.
gosh,
Yeah, she's
so cute.
she's a created dog in 99.
She's gorgeous.
She was made for pulling. And let me tell you, like the women who created that breed did them for pulling competitions. And let me tell you, she
Wow.
can pull pretty much. She pulls me down the street.
Oh
She's
my
wild.
gosh.
Yeah, she's pretty strong, little girl.
She's amazing.
But no, so that's the thing too, is like I find that we tend to always be focusing on building
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so all of this happens. And I find that so fascinating because we moved around a lot too with his acting.
Yeah.
And even, oh God, you've been in this long enough. Remember when you would like sponge paint walls?
Yes. That's really coming back.
It should never
I
come
mean,
back.
it's always tweaked a little bit so it feels modern, but yes.
It feels
this
modern?
like wall texture. Yes, it's a thing.
With your own like little sea sponge?
Well, see, sort of. Like with like lime wash, right? So
Really?
we're seeing these brush strokes where yeah, totally.
Wild.
I know,
Because
right?
I remember that was
We just dated ourselves.
totally date
That's
ourselves. But
fine.
I am doing that because when that would be my thing. Like when we would move, we were always renting.
Yeah.
And to your point, you know, production only gives you so much money to
Yeah.
buy, to rent and be in a home. So I would find like I would do the cheapest, most cheerful way to
Yeah.
make it feel like my space.
Yeah.
So a lot of people watching right now, because the world is crazy. We were just talking earlier because, of course, Yannick and I have got our eyeballs on another house. We were talking about that. Cheaper to build from the ground up or cheaper to gut and renovate, which we'll talk about that in a second. But for everybody watching right now, I think we're finding like money is expensive. Everything is so dear.
Mm-hmm.
But how would you, let's talk about 5 fun ways that somebody can do a little upgrade, spruce up their space, because not everybody's sick in the head like us and is going to move every couple of years. So what would you say? What are some fun things people can do like on a great budget to get the most bang for their buck?
Well, I think paint for sure, right? Because you can instantly, you know, change the room, the mood, the color,
Yep.
all of those things, and you can do it yourself. Like
Right.
a lot of people can paint
Yeah. I mean, it's not rocket science.
for sure. Wallpaper, like look at how your wallpaper downstairs just like, oh my gosh, sets this incredible mood. Doesn't you know, and doesn't involve like
No.
renovating.
Mind you, you've got to be careful when you pick your wallpaper because if it's a difficult pattern, I wouldn't hang it yourself.
Yeah,
I mean, you
true.
could.
Oh, yeah. No. Wallpaper, maybe you want to bring someone in, but you could learn if you're like if you're
Like you
you're
learned.
artistic. I know. Like I'd rather not do all of this stuff myself because I'm getting tired. But
Because you move every couple of years.
but it is kind of fun to know how to do it sometimes.
I agree. I totally agree.
yeah.
I'm intimidated by power tools.
Oh, it's one of those things. Like once you kind of
Crossover.
cross over, you'll feel really good. Yeah, there's like certain things like a table saw that took me a real while to get.
Because I've seen
Used
your
to.
videos. If you're not following her, go.
But even like a drill, right?
Yeah.
For putting his like that's a good way to start. That's easy.
I still do like hammer and nail. And
I
Yannick's
prefer
always like,
yeah.
you know, we have drills. I'm like, I know, but I'm scared
I
of drills.
love a drill.
Well, and also too, with a drill, do you feel like it's essential to find a stud?
Well, it depends what you're hanging. If it's heavy, yes.
Yeah.
Or you use an anchor,
Mm.
depending on what you're,
Yeah.
what you've got.
So if you are a person at home right now and you're keen to like jazz up your space, and we'll get back to the 5 things because we did 2, paint and wallpaper, change of space immediately and on a budget. What are some tools every household should have?
Well, a hammer, a great hammer. I love like an old fashioned screwdriver, like right? That's always handy to have around. I love my power drill. I love it. I honestly I think I asked for another one for Mother's Day recently because it was like I really find it so handy.
Really?
Yeah, I think those are my 3 big ones.
Okay.
And then I do have like a great chop saw, which is good for cutting trim and stuff like that. If you wanted to, because on a budget you could put trim on the walls to make it look like a Parisian apartment or, make it look like sort of more paneling, that kind of thing. Like that's fun.
That is
adding
fun.
trim. So that could be a third
And
way.
then you could paint in the squares inside.
Yeah.
Like you could make, is that called wainscoting? No, that's different.
Well, wainscoting is a type of paneling, yeah.
Okay.
So you would do molding and
Wow.
yeah.
See?
Yeah.
I love
do
that.
So I love a chop saw for that
Okay.
because you can like really make precise cuts and you can do them on angles and things like that.
So what if you're afraid of a chop saw, but now you're all turned up because of
wanna
these
do
ideas
some
for molding?
molding?
Can you go to like a Home Depot or a Lowe's? Will they cut?
I think that you now, like, they will do a certain number of cuts for free.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's just one per board, but
Okay.
then you can get them to do more and you just get charged for them.
Okay.
So yeah, you could do that. You could plan it all out and have them do the cuts. Or, I mean, heck, you could use a handsaw, just like a regular old handsaw with a miter box, and that would help you get the angles right and all of those things.
See? And then I guess when you put it up, a good way to hide any inconsistencies of your cut, if you are doing more of a rugged cut, like with a handsaw, would you use, what is that called? Not silicone,
That
but
dap, that like caulking.
caulking.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
See? Look at all the things we're learning.
And if you can always just like use fine sandpaper and make the cuts really nice and clean and all of those things. But
see? Yeah. We're building on a budget.
Yes.
We're renovating on a budget. I love
Yes.
that. Okay, so that's another one. What else? What else would you do to liven up a space? Because a lot of people, either yes, they're renting, or they've been in their home a long time and maybe kids have moved out and they're just
Sure.
like
change it
tired,
up.
like just tired of looking at the same old house.
well, would you say art? Like great,
Ooh, yeah.
a big, it doesn't have to be big, but
Yep.
like you can really change the space, adding art, posters, whatever. It doesn't
Yep.
have to be.
You know
again, it
what
doesn't
my
have to be
girls do,
expensive.
which is I think is so cool. They will maybe we can put this in the show notes once I figure out where it is. But they go online and they get these like prints.
Yeah.
And then they go to HomeSense and they just wander around and they might go multiple times until they find the exact right.
Yeah.
And then like to your point, it's a way to really personalize a space that's not expensive.
Yeah, definitely. So art, and
For me, pillows. I find like
yeah.
a throw pillow, right?
yeah.
Do you have a lot of pillows on your bed? I saw all the rooms at your house when we were there for dinner, but I didn't see your bedroom. Are you
That's because
minimalist?
it wasn't ready. Sort of. But like my daughter has tons of pillows. She loves pillows. Yes. And then Greg and I, no, we don't have a lot of pillows.
I've seen you
that
photograph
very-
your bedrooms.
I have that very sort of like Belgian linen, organic, modern kind of look in our bedroom at the moment. So
Was your bedroom black, or did I make that up?
yes, the one that you would have met us at. We did that for some kind of like cute video tour, and we painted it Pharaoh and Ball railings.
It was
And
gorgeous.
I did it myself. So I figured, Greg's like, "What are you doing?" And then, but I figured like, "Oh, come on, it'll be dramatic. It'll be a cute little vignette
Yes.
for this little thing that we're doing." And then we loved it. We loved it so much. And then he ended up doing self-tapes there because during
right.
COVID, remember
Yes.
auditions were, they
Yes.
still are. It's all self-tapes.
I know, now it's all
So
self-tapes.
we got really nice natural light from this bay window. And then I had that, it's almost like a navy black. And Greg loved shooting against it. So we never changed it.
I loved it. I remember that. And then you
was
did
really
your
moody.
bathroom in this house that now she just dropped this bomb on me. They just sold it.
Oh, yeah.
They've
Well,
only
it has been a year since she came over for dinner. So, of course, we're both thinking of moving and renovating again.
Of course we are. How could we not? It's been a whole 12 months. Since we both were bitching and moaning over dinner of like,
the
oh
renos
God, are
not
we
being
ever going to be
finished.
done?
Yeah.
And you're like, there's just one more. I couldn't remember. There was one more thing that needed to get done that hadn't been done when we were over for dinner. And now,
Mine,
and now it's sold.
Now it's sold. I know. But I did love it. We loved
Yeah.
it so much. But we're
I
gonna
loved
move.
it. It was
was cute.
You have got the most exceptional taste. Like I just
Aw.
I know, and you'll say that you did, but I look at your spaces and there's just never a mistake. Like you respect and honor the age of the property. I find like you're so good at that. Like the house that you just were in, that you just sold.
Yes.
When was that built?
It was built in 1890. So it's a Victorian and very narrow and tall ceilings and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So yeah, I love Victorians. They make my
Your
heart
thing. Me too.
sing because they have the proportions. I think the golden ratio or whatever. So the windows are taller and all of these things. I really, and it was like the old plaster molding. So I kept all of that, even though it was imperfect.
Well, I mean, it's part of the
But we
story
just
of the
loved it.
house, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then that's what I remember about the bathroom is the bathroom was so Victorian and very, it felt, it
Oh,
felt
the
very
bathroom.
French to
Oh
me.
my gosh. It was wild because back in the day it would have been the only bathroom in the whole house and it was so skinny and so crazy.
Yeah.
But we just like left it for the 2 bedrooms that
We're on that floor,
were
right?
on that floor and then we added bathrooms in the other rooms. And I just felt it was so quaint. Like, I don't know. I'm such a sucker for quaint.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that old sort of European sensibility.
I do too, actually.
yeah, I know
But
you
somehow,
do.
well, I'm married to somebody who thinks he's Scandinavian. I don't know why. He's got a thing. What's the word? A penchant? Is that the word?
Or a penchant?
Penchant?
Maybe a penchant for-
penchant for like austere. Like if he had his druthers, everything would be the same
your
color.
modern your house. How
Yeah.
far back? I can't remember how many
Well,
houses that was.
Yeah,
but
how many houses
super
back
modern.
was that?
How are
3?
I feel like I'm looking in a mirror. I feel so not crazy here because
You're not crazy. You're not. Everybody who doesn't live like this, they're crazy.
Yeah.
We're totally fine and normal. Okay, so how many houses ago? That was
A lot.
3 houses ago. And I have to tell you, that house
Yeah.
is the house that we lived in the longest out of
Yes.
all the houses we had because we
Yeah.
bought it in 2006, moved in January 2007, and then we tore it down in 2012 and built the modern house on the property.
Right.
And we were there to 2019.
Right.
So for us, it was a really freaking long time. Even
Yeah.
our kids were like, "You're never selling, right?" And we're like, "Totally not. This is our forever house." And then we're like, "Surprise!"
Yeah.
Out we go. But that house only got warmed up because I insisted on it. Like he was really going for that modern,
Yeah.
cold concrete floor vibe. And I just, my thing is, and tell me if you and Greg go through this or if you guys are completely aligned. I have to remind him that it also needs to be a space that I feel comfortable living in. You know,
I get it.
like
Yeah.
I'm like, I also live in this house.
Yes.
You know, and then he has to do the same with me.
Yeah.
Because if I had my way, like, you know,
You do all more like maximalist type.
yeah, like just,
Yeah.
I like to be able to sit somewhere and feel like I'm in my home, like I'm comfortable. Like I don't want to feel like I'm in a showroom. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Or like there's no
Yeah.
place to like tuck your legs and sit
Yeah.
down and read.
Yeah.
You know? So do you guys ever
Yeah.
have those kind of conversations?
Ooh. I try to. Oh God, we do actually fight all the time about design, and I'm always like, I don't tell you how to act. Like, what?
Could you imagine?
Give me a break here, and he will fight me tooth and nail, and then I won't listen to him at the end of the day, and then he'll be like, "Oh, I love this." And
Right.
then it's
What
like,
was that in your house?
Oh my
When we were there
gosh.
for dinner, what did you do that he was like, absolutely,
Absolutely
not?
not.
And you were like, absolutely yes.
I can't remember.
Was it the color paint?
It could be the paint color. I can't remember.
Was it like a pink? Like, did you have a, or was it the chairs or the light? There was something in the living room.
There's so
that-
many things that he is always like, absolutely not. And
Yeah.
then
You're like, I
no.
didn't hear that.
I know. But it is hard if you're not aligned. If
Yeah.
two people feel very strongly about their space and they're not aligned, it is sometimes really hard to come to
An agreement.
like a middle ground. And sometimes it's better to not come to a middle ground, I guess. Like if it's going to ruin one thing or the other, if you either have to like, you want it to be the best of what it's going to be. So
you know what I love, and you know what we do, because I love that, and I think that that's so true. It's like sometimes if you try to compromise, you miss.
yes, I know. This
Right?
is not a very like PC thing to say, I guess. Like, but
No.
it's true. Like
It is true.
Like if that modern Scandi thing, I mean, I think it's really good that you push to have some warmth and texture because you can get that in a very modern setting.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you're throwing in like crazy Louis XIV like things
Yeah.
that don't go or whatever.
Yeah, that
but
don't match.
but you've got to like play that up as much as possible, I think, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the like thing is you've decided to do. I think.
I agree. And what we tend to do, anyway, so one thing that we have started to do, because A, we've been together so long, and two, we don't always see eye to eye, is we will dedicate a zone that's all mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's nice.
this is my, like right now where we're shooting the podcast, he had very little say in it because he's like, well, I'm never going to be up there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not hanging out up there. In the same way, we built a wellness room, and when we did it, the colors are his. Like, he loved this green tile that he always wanted to use.
Nice.
And we didn't have anywhere in the house that it was going to work.
Yeah.
So I surprised him and had it put in the room where our sauna and our plunge pool is.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So
I have
it's
to see that.
yeah. So he's like, he walked in and he was like, oh my God, my tile.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's important as couples when you're doing stuff like the main space, and I agree with you entirely, that's not really the place to compromise. Because then you end up like our girls used to say, you have such an eclectic way of decorating, which meant like there's a hodgepodge mess of crazy.
Well, eclectic is good. I think you do like I would say
do
that.
like
Yeah.
eclectic.
I love your style. I love your vibe.
Thank you.
And I'm not saying like, oh, never listen to your husband. I'm just saying like,
I mean,
I am saying sometimes like maybe there's somebody who cares a little bit more than the other, and figure it out, and and then maybe draw straws. I don't know. Like,
That's
and
true.
make sure that it's just going to all work together. But it is so nice that you thought of him and did that, because then it does feel like
well, I mean,
a nice relationship. That's so nice. I'm going to try that.
on the farmhouse,
Yes.
the New York house.
Oh, I already am trying that for him.
Are
Yeah.
you good? Look at you.
Yeah.
How's it working?
Great. It's actually,
You know what I think the thing is where we have issues is that when you are married to creatives, when you're also a creative person, those creatives come with a whole bunch of because unlike other people who maybe are not, like, you might be married to a banker, or you might be married to somebody who just does not give a rat's ass.
yeah.
And it's carte blanche. You
Yeah.
do it. They just want to come home
Yeah.
and they want it handled.
Yeah.
And they're okay with you
Picking whatever.
picking
you want.
whatever.
Yeah.
When you've got people who are creative, they also want to express their creativity in
Yeah.
their space.
Totally.
And I feel like that's where the possibility for conflict happens. You know?
Yeah. But it is really like I think you can come to an agreement,
Yeah.
but it just makes it harder when you're not aligned from the start.
100%.
But I think what's so cool is like this house that you've done is like it is a more historic home and stuff, and I think you guys have totally leaned into that. So that's so fun. That is another fun thing about all this moving around is
I know.
you get to do the modern thing if you want, and then
Yeah.
oh, maybe on the next one it's going to be this. Like it kind of, you guys are artists in that way too, right?
Well, you know,
In
we
creating
have
that space.
we had a cottage we did in 2018, and you know, we bought another piece of land. We're supposed to do another cottage. The township's being a bunch of bitch babies though, and it's taking forever. And we're at the point right now where like we might just sell everything up there because it's just a nightmare. You know how that is when you just
Yeah.
like you're tired.
Yes.
Like it's just like they've sucked all the fun out of it. You know, and it's like now we got to do an archaeological dig, and then they want a topographical survey. It's just like it goes, and we've already been at it for 4 years.
Yes, I remember you telling me about that place. Is there something about the land though that is like so spectacular that it makes it special that you would endure more of this to get it to this point that you want it to, or not?
Yeah, I'd say what makes the land spectacular is it's 380 feet of waterfront, west facing. Right. And there's a
Ooh,
couple
at
of
the
places
end of
that
the
are just
day.
like walk-in sandy beach.
Yeah.
You know, which is great for grandkids and whatnot. But it's just like at what cost? You know what I mean? Like how much longer is it going to be?
Right.
So now you're doing in New York, your farmhouse.
Yes, in upstate New York.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us about that. And are you running into, like, how do you manage a property when you're not on site every day? I know Yannick used to hate that.
It's hard. It's so hard. I've been so spoiled renovating here in Toronto for the last like 20 years and knowing all my trades, like they're on speed dial. I send them over to do my parents' stuff. Like I trust them implicitly. I don't even get quotes from them anymore.
Wow.
Because it's just like, hey, this is what we trust them so much.
Yeah.
So like getting trades over there that we don't even know. And I think at the best of times, it's difficult to find availability down there from what I hear.
Really?
From some of the contractors are saying it's really hard for them to keep a good crew. So there's those challenges in itself.
Yeah.
And then just not being there is like kind of a leap of faith. But I think, we've been driving down like at least a couple times a month. And
Oh, wow.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah.
Where's it at? What stage is it at right now? Because you took it all the way back to the studs, right?
It's now back to the studs, and all the structural work on the interior is finished, which I wasn't anticipating doing. So of course it's like, yeah.
You didn't know?
Well, we didn't necessarily have to do it, but it was just like, I don't know, all the joists were bowing so much. And because the house was existing, the inspector wasn't going to make us change it, but I just don't want, I want my grandkids and their friends and everybody to be sleeping upstairs, and I don't want to see the bowing of the joists. So we restructured the entire, the entire thing, but it's like an old frame wooden siding house, built in 1848. Wow. So we kept the exterior as much as we could and salvaged whatever we could, and then did just new wood where we had to. So the exterior is actually finished. It was so rotted that we couldn't let it go another winter. So we actually did the exterior first. So it looks like this really super cute, amazing farmhouse. And then you get inside and you're like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
I saw that what you did with the porch, like the tongue and groove.
We rebuilt all of that, and it's awesome. It's going to be fun. It's just taking twice as much money and twice as much time. Of course. Like it always does.
It always does. It always does. So that's another thing I wanted to ask you about renovating for anybody out there who is contemplating a renovation. You said you don't get quotes, but that's different. You are the contractor.
Only for myself.
And you've been working with it. So don't
do this at home. No, you're going to get 3 quotes, like at least 2, but
Now, okay, let me ask you this, because we've done it both ways. We've done it with a bid, like given a quote, building, like start to finish budget.
Yes.
And that guy only went over budget about 28%. And that was the house we built from the ground up. Then we've also done it time plus material. Mm-hmm. Our cottage came in on budget. Our bunkie did not on budget nor on time. Mm-hmm. And we did time and budget.
Yeah.
This house we did, time and material.
Yeah.
This house we did time plus material, twice as long.
Yeah.
Way more money.
Yeah.
What should people at home who have never done, like, what's your recommendation in this world that we live in?
I know it's so challenging, and so many different contractors quote in different ways. Some contractors won't even take a job anymore unless it's time and material, because they need to be protected too, because you just don't know what you're going to run into.
I know.
But I feel that if you're okay with saying, okay, I want you to take this from start to finish, I want you to tell me how much it's going to be, and end of story, that might be better for your psychology, right? Because you're thinking, okay, I'm aware of what this is going to cost, and I'm okay with it, and let's just go ahead. Yeah. Whereas with time and material, you're always worried about, oh gosh, is it going to go longer? Are they even there, a lot of times clients are like, well, what are they doing all day long? And they don't. So it adds kind of this level of stress, I think, that if you can avoid it, I don't know. In some ways, I just think renovating is always more expensive. Yep. It always takes longer. You got to just chill the F out. And hopefully if you have somebody that you trust, it's all going to work out okay.
The thing that I had issue with this particular renovation that I've not run into in the past was weeks of nobody being on the job site.
Yeah.
Weeks. Because we have cameras on this house.
Yeah.
And I would go on the camera every day. I would go on because, I'm used to contractors start at 7 a.m., 8 maybe.
Yeah.
I would go on the camera at 8. nobody in the driveway. 11, nobody in the driveway. 4.
I know.
And then I would zoom back and be like, nobody showed up. And it was like that day after day, week after week.
I know. And it's painful when you're waiting to get in, right? And you're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
I know.
And my whole thing is, and if you're a contractor and you're listening to this episode, do your client a favor and don't get them out of the house until your ducks are in a row. Like they had us out August 1st. They did demo because demo's always fast and you get so excited.
I know.
You're like, here we go. And then literally, I think it was
empty.
2 weeks because they didn't have their plumbers. They didn't have their electricians. They didn't have their drywall guys. They had nobody else who was ready. So fucking let your people stay.
Yeah.
Because we all know demolition takes 0 time.
I know. And so as a contractor, because I do this for other people, I will act as the general contractor. We'll do the design. We'll bring in all of the trades to do it. And like sometimes everybody's so excited to get started and you want to yes, we can get in there and get started. But like, I don't know. I think it's just setting the expectations from the beginning. If someone had said to you, hey, guess what? We can get started on the demo, but I don't know. It might be a few weeks before we get you. That might have changed your plans,
100%.
right? Yeah,
100%.
for sure.
Yeah,
so
because
I think it's just that level of communication that so often is the cause of a lot of stress.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that for sure was something that was missing on this job is there was very little communication. And also I was dealing with a know-it-all in my husband.
Oh. I thought it was like, I mean, just know it all.
Well, so was the contractor, but specifically I'm talking about my husband. He's like, because I'm up north. I'm in heaven. I'm at my marina. I'm at my cottage. I've got my dogs. I'm like, fuck yeah, summer by myself, always, because he's filming.
Yeah.
And he comes up on the weekends. But so I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm cozy. I'm comfy. And I said to him, you should rent something, like an apartment, like rent something. He's like, I won't need to. Maybe the demo will be a little bit dirty. They'll just plastic off the bedroom. I'll have access to the shower. Well, we were getting our shower done too. And like both bathrooms on the bedroom floor. He's like, I'll shower in the basement. I'm like, and this many years in, better to argue. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You do you.
Yeah.
10 days, 2 weeks. He's like, I can't live like this. And I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. Well, now we have dogs. Now I'm coming back. Now there's nothing happening on the house.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, where do you go? Where are you going to rent something now?
I know.
And how long do we need it for?
Yeah.
So then we were bouncing around hotels, which I
God.
don't hate living in a hotel.
I know.
No laundry, no dishes.
Oh my God.
It's good. But all that to say is like, be prepared.
Yeah.
I think going into renovation prepared will always make it go much.
I just think you really have to lower your standards. It's like, like the house in the States that we're doing was causing a lot of stress because things were taking so long.
Yeah.
And Greg was kind of managing that while I was managing the one here in Toronto. And it didn't go well. I don't know. He didn't exactly... Oh dear. Should I tell this? I don't know.
We can edit it out
if you're
change
doing
your
this
mind.
at home. Just like if there's just get the insurance, proof of insurance, because Greg didn't think to do that. So he hired these people to take down these 200-year-old trees that were, getting really close to that could have squashed the house.
100%.
And that's like a huge, huge, huge deal.
Yep.
And he just hired these guys. They were the cheapest. And he didn't ask for insurance, and it was bad. And it turned out that they started squatting in our shed. And this is like it's condemned. Like the shed has basically no roof. It's falling down. It's not safe.
Like, this is good enough for us.
They're living there. They stole the wood chipper from one of the Home Depots in Connecticut. Oh my God. Those are worth $60,000.
What?
They took the money, kind of left. Greg came down because they said they were going to be finished. And as he came back, they felled one of the big trees that smashed into our porch and took the, luckily we had to rebuild the porch anyway, and took all the electrical for the street down. So all of our neighbors lost power. And then the worst part about it is he said the two of them had these chainsaws. It was actually a husband and wife. Oh. And they were having this huge argument with chainsaws. And it was terrible. So it was really bad. But I was like, didn't you ask for their insurance? And he's like, no.
I didn't know I needed to.
And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you would have then cued into like, oh, maybe these are not the right people to take the trees down kind of thing.
For me, and this is a lesson because up north where we have our land, there's a lot of trees that come into play that are problematic.
Yes.
And people always start to cry. They're like, how come you're taking, well, there are trees that are notoriously, they're weeds that grow into trees and they're problematic and they have short lifespans anyway. And you got to get them out of the way before you're dead in your sleep. So, but I'm learning something through this experience because I'm always on, when you think about the outside of your house, the insurance piece doesn't really come to mind as quickly because you're like, well, they're not going to be inside. How much damage can they do?
Oh yeah.
But amen.
But I think like for something, like for anything that is, you know, like electrical or structural work or anything like, you know, plumbing, it's just, if someone's like, oh, I don't have insurance, then maybe, you know, Greg would be like, oh, well, maybe I better not hire you, even though he really wanted to save the money and hire these guys that quoted so.
So what happened to them? Where are they?
I don't know. Eventually the police came and they like repossessed the chipper, the wood chipper.
The wood chipper was on your property?
It was. They left it on our property. Yeah. They took it from the Home Depot in the thing. Like they rented it from the Home Depot, but just never left it. So for months, and Greg kept calling the Home Depot saying, hey, I've got this wood chipper here. Yeah. It's worth a lot of money. Anyway, the Connecticut police came and took it back and all of those things. But I don't even remember why I got into that. Oh, it just was such a challenge.
Yes.
And it was such a stress. And then after a while, I was like, Greg, you got to just let it go. We got to just like, okay, so we're not going to be doing Christmas there next year. No, like get that out of the picture now because it's causing undue stress.
See, you and Yannick are very alike in that you're calm, cool, collected, manage expectations well, and also have an understanding of how it goes. I think Greg and I are the same. We're just like, we want to get to the end.
Yeah, I know.
And sometimes I want to race through
bypass all of that.
I know. So, okay, how were you guys? Because I adore you both, and I think you're so fun, and you do remind me a lot of us. How was it being a mom? Because I'm also, you know, have things that I love to pursue, and I've been an active. Maybe ambitious is not the word, but I've been active in ensuring that while I'm being a mom, I'm also living my one true best life. Mm-hmm. And you do that as well through doing this. What would you say was your greatest challenge, you know, being your own boss, being an entrepreneur, but then also you're a TV personality. So you've got 3 kids and you've got a working actor husband. Like, damn.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. What was the biggest challenge? Well, what was it for you?
I think for me, and this will definitely be different than yours because I always wanted to be an actress. I think for me was pivoting into other passions and things that were interesting to me without bitterness. Because there was a long time in our marriage where I was bitter. Like I was like, why the fuck do you get to be an actor?
Yeah. No, that's hard. You know? That's really, really, really hard.
So I think for me, that was my challenge and being too old when I finally came to peace with that. I wish I hadn't wasted so many years.
Do you think that's true, hon? Because there's a lot of good roles and a lot of new stories. I just feel like, is it too late? Like, could you
performing?
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that. I meant I got too old. I carried that bitterness for too long. Okay. Like, I got too old. And then I was just like, what am I doing here? Like what? So for me, that would have been my challenge, I would say.
Hard, yeah.
Which I would imagine yours is different because, I mean, you did act.
Oh my gosh. So briefly. Well, when we moved back to Toronto after having Dempsey in New York, it was kind of like we were just trying to make money. And I got this agent somehow and then somehow booked this one guest star on Relic Hunter. And it was fun, But I
just randomly booked
funny.
a guest star. My first job.
It was wild.
Was Greg
actually
furious?
Well, he wasn't outwardly, but I think in some ways that's why I was like, "Ooh, I better not do this," because
this is going very well.
Well,
Like,
I had a 3-year-old and a baby. So so Dempsey and Billy at the time when I was doing it, and I did feel like, I don't know if this is the most conducive to, and it wasn't like it was my passion.
Right.
I think had it been,
Yeah.
Greg would have ensured that, like, no matter what, we would make it work. And he always said he would. Like, it wasn't, he never said like, oh, well, what the hell? No. But it was something in me
because
that was
you only
like,
did one part. You were like, I think this is not for me. He's probably like, ooh, fuck, good.
But like, I don't know. I think the biggest challenge was feeling like, I had to have something of my own going. Like, I felt lesser than, because, you know, I was like a stay-at-home mom, and I freaking loved it. I look back now, and it was stressful, but it was so fun. And I really wish I didn't, like, you know, wish that those days kind of went faster. You know, those days when you were like, it was chaos all the time, and you were like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Now I would like relish in all of those moments.
Yeah.
But someone gave me this fantastic advice one time, and they said, the best mom is a happy mom. And whatever that is for you, it's going to be different for you than it is for me. If it's going out there and working and doing this, and you're happy, you're going to be a better mom when you come home.
100%.
So, like, you know, I don't know. I just think we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect at all of these things. And I don't know.
I love all of that. No, I really love it all, especially what you said, like, if you could go back.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, and this is the thing, because we were young moms.
Yes.
There is so much beauty in being young, as far as being energized and sort of you don't have any expectations because you haven't lived long enough.
Yeah.
And there's no resentment of, like, you feel like you're losing or giving up.
Yeah.
Because you don't know you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel in those moments, I wouldn't change being a young mom because of all those things.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like when you're young and idealistic and your whole life's ahead of you, you have a carpe diem kind of vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you're just like seizing the day and just
Mm-hmm.
living the day. But I will say that because of being young as a mother, there was too much, well, what about me? Like, what am I going to do? Like, how can I be my own like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like that looking for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're finding yourself. And for me, and I'm not putting this on you, but you know, wanting to find your own worth and your own value.
Yes, for sure. Especially if your husbands are out doing their thing.
Yes.
And they're getting affirmation for that.
Yes.
And, you know, yeah, exactly. You think like, oh, well, I have to be something too. Like, whereas for some people, like, actually, I really do think if I could go back now and just not care about that and just enjoy what I was doing.
Because it goes by so fast.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in the thick of it. So moms, if you're listening, or dads who are at home with your kids, it can feel like it's never going to be over.
Yeah.
The days are so long and the years are so short, right? Isn't that the expression?
Totally. Yeah.
And I agree with you. Like, I feel if I could go back, the thing that I would change is I would be more in the moment with them.
Yeah.
And like, I'm going to get emotional, but hold their hands more, you know, snuggle more, let them, you know, all the things.
Yes.
Because what's that other thing too that everybody says, you don't know that it's going to be the last time you tuck them in.
Aww.
You know, the last time you pick them up.
Yeah.
You never, and that's the thing with life, right? Like, we never know. Like, when's it going to be the last time that I get to sit and chat? Like, we don't know when our moment with our dogs too, right? Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it's true. So that being in the moment thing is something, like, over the last few years, I've been reading a lot of Eckhart Tolle and The Power of Now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And how much of the suffering and the stress is because of, like, our thoughts when they're not in the moment. Like, or it's like, oh, well, how long, is this going to last? Or am I going to be able to, what am I going to do when we retire? Like all of, instead of like just accepting the present moment for whatever it is. And oh my God, that has helped me so much through times. That doesn't mean you're not going to go through challenging times, but it's your thoughts about those challenging times that torture you,
Well, I think, when did it become that we all just thought life was supposed to be a breeze, and then we get shitty when it's not? Like, where did that notion even come from?
I
right?
know.
And I think that that's the greatest disservice that we do
very damaging
to life.
Yeah.
And the experience of being human.
Yeah.
Is we're so preoccupied with, and you said this earlier, like, of everything needing to be perfect.
Yeah.
That when it's not, we take it as a personal assault. And it's not, it's just life being life.
It is.
So it's beautiful what you're saying about, and what he writes about, which is being now. Just be here, right?
Exactly.
Here, right now.
And it's not just a means to an end.
No.
Oh, when we do this, then everything's going to be great.
Right.
Or once I do this, then
right
now. What is it now?
Well, and we talk about this a lot, Yannick and I, because he's, and there was a term for it. We did est for him like forever ago, because his dad used to be a trainer for all of that. But there was always like, they had a term called stuffing. Like you have your holes and you just stuff it with stuff.
Yeah.
And you expect the stuff that you put in to be the thing.
Yeah.
That finally I find peace. Finally I find happiness.
Yes.
Oh my God, here's my joy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was joking about when we started chatting. Like, what are we?
We're stuffing a lot of stuff.
Why do we keep moving? Why are we renovating? Why are we living in utter and complete chaos, madness all the time? But I love your point of view on that. It's like, no, we're living in creativity. And isn't that isn't that a beautiful thing to be able to do? Because it really is a great gift. Not everybody can afford to buy a house and do their thing with it, you know?
Oh my God, I'm so grateful for that. I mean, when Greg and I started out, like, we were 23 kids.
Yeah.
Greg had not booked, I don't know, he didn't book something for the first, like, I don't know how many years it was. Like, he got a commercial one time and we were like, oh my God, this is it. Like, here we go. Like, we had no money. We were from apartment to apartment. And looking, like, if I looked at myself now, like, buying a house and renovating it and whatever, even though we still have financial struggles, we're 50 years old.
Yep.
We have no security. We don't know what's going to happen, like, when we retire, all of those things. But my God, like, how fun. Like, it can be so fun if you
decide
think about it. Exactly. It is all just the way we look at it.
I agree. And you know what? And this is the truth. And I feel like we're in a time where people have given away their power to the belief of victimhood. You are not a victim. Your mind is powerful. Your mind is such an incredible tool if you use it for the power of good. And look at life like it is an adventure. And sure, and I always say this, put your fucking phone down. Get off your phone. If you find you are miserable and you don't have gratitude and you feel like depressed and anxious, put your phone down. That's the first thing you should do. Wipe your social media from your homepage. Make it hard to access. And just literally go hug a tree.
It's true. Like, the other sort of really powerful thing I've read recently is that the only thing we have control over is our mind and what we put in it and how we choose to use it. And it is everything.
Yep.
We don't have control over anything else. What who's in office, we don't we don't actually.
No.
We can't control, what's coming at us, but we can control how we look at things and what we put in our heads. So you're right. If like looking at social media, and it happens to me too, we're grown ass women.
I know.
And we're still sometimes look at it and it's like, oh my God, I do find myself
So
getting
often.
like,
Yeah.
and I have to like, oh my God, put it away for a minute.
Yeah.
But we have to learn how to control our minds because that's going to be the key, I think, to like.
I think so too. And also, if you don't, then your mind's controlling you.
I know.
And how fun is that?
Oh, it's so easy. It just like goes on a loop and like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whatever your story is, right?
Yeah.
If you don't get control over that,
Yeah.
then that's what plays in the
Yeah.
background on a
Totally.
loop. Okay, so I want to ask you this because we sacrificed so much for our girls, trying to give them the best education we could, and they all ended up creatives.
Yeah. I know.
So you've got
So did my
two
kids.
boys. I know.
Yeah.
So
All
here you are,
creatives.
because like, you know, we had to feed our kids bagels
Yeah.
for dinner and craft dinner and eggs, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, eggs.
Yeah.
Woo! How many different ways can you make eggs? You know, and move a
Yeah.
lot because
Yeah.
you know, we had to go either where the work was or there was no work. I
Yeah.
mean, we worked in bars. Yannick delivered pizzas. He
Yeah.
sold telephone plans back in the day when people had home lines. Like, you name it, we've done it. He's repaired cars at LAX for rental car. Like, so the last thing you want are your kids
I
to
know.
go into this creative world where
I
there's
know.
zero. And now you have
Security.
3.
And now I have 3, and so do you. So I'm starting to think like maybe that security thing that I myself, and I know Greg too, we were so obsessed with that idea of like, well, let's try to like be
We were raised by
financially
people
secure,
who were
right?
raised in the 50s.
Yeah.
Right?
So now I'm like, I guess they just don't like, I don't know. Obviously money is important.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if this obsession with like, I just think we're all going to make it work. Like you
Yeah.
said, Greg worked,
Yeah.
Greg and I both worked in restaurants. We
Yeah.
we made it work. You know, I don't know. I'm glad yes, I'd rather my kids avoid the same stresses that we had, but maybe like as you said, maybe a stressless life is not the goal. Like it's
Yeah.
learning how to be, because life is going to be stressful.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also, I say to people, because we were just at a family reunion, which was a wedding, and 2 people at the wedding, both men, made snide comments about how good and cush our girls' lives are. And first off, I don't know about that. My one daughter is a stay-at-home mom, which is not cush. Being a stay-at-home mom
it's
is
not.
a lot of work.
It is. Yeah.
Do you know? And in order for them to have enough space around them, she's 4.5 hours away from us,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because life is expensive. So
It
I
is.
don't know that is
Yeah.
really what she envisioned for her life, but it is her life.
Yeah.
So would I call that cush? I wouldn't say so.
Mhm.
And then the other 2 who, you know, have their own clothing line. And so, you know how the world is. If you want to have a company, you got to have a certain persona on the internet. And, you know, but they work hard and they have disappointments.
Sure.
And there's a lot of tears and
Yeah.
there's a lot of struggle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of upset. So the one person who said that, he actually had said it to my face. The other person said it to Yannick. But the one person who said it to my face, I looked him dead in the eye and I said, break down to me why you think entrepreneurship is cush.
Mhm.
And he was like, well, yeah, I mean, I said, they're blessed and lucky that they have parents who have the ability to be their backers and their investors.
Mhm.
But other than that,
Yeah.
I don't understand where the cush bit comes in.
People, they have no idea.
Right?
Yeah. And it's always like something to do with their own personal situation,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
For sure. I
So,
know.
I mean-
no, it's not cush.
No.
Creative, like
The
those
creative life.
entrepreneurship period is not, it's 24/7,
100%.
24/7.
100%. And the failure feels bigger
Yeah, it does.
when it's your thing that you love,
Yeah.
that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
If it doesn't go the way you had hoped or planned or dreamed in your mind,
Right.
I dare say that's a lot harder than like you hit delete instead of send on an Excel spreadsheet to go to somebody in your office. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I find it really interesting how people have this idea. And I don't know, again, you know, I
They
know,
just like to judge, I think, honestly. A lot
Yeah.
of people just,
but interestingly
can't
enough, when
judge
I
anyone.
asked him, because he has a daughter, I said, if your daughter came to you with a business proposition, an idea, Would you back her or not? He goes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I said, I rest my case.
In the entertainment business, they always talk about like Nepo babies, blah, blah, blah. But they don't talk about Nepo babies when it's somebody who's a dentist who then hires their kid who's out of school, right? Like, of course, you're going to help your kid.
Yes. Or
right?
a Nepo baby in construction.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody takes over the family and developers.
Yeah.
Look at all the kids running around owning
You're going to
all
help
the land.
your kid. People just need to stop judging.
I know.
Period.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. And I also find that it's very fascinating that when we judge, we forget that if we were in those shoes, we'd make the same calls. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I think in a lot of time we need to come to grips with, you know, if we were honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
If we were really truthfully honest, I think a lot of us would prefer that we had more access to opportunity.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Yannick's on Murdoch.
Yeah.
Great. But you know what? He's been nominated, I think, once or twice in his own country. You know what I mean? Like, nobody else will hire him because they're like, oh, well, that's Murdoch. So on one hand, life can look a certain kind of way.
Sure.
But then on the other hand, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And the same thing, you know, I'm sure with Greg, you know, like Greg, you guys, if you don't know Greg, his career is illustrious. He's so talented. But, you know, he played the bad guy for so long and did it so well. But he is also handsome and, you know, and talented and gifted. And I just feel like we get pigeonholed, you know?
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like you were pigeonholed with design though?
Gosh. No, I don't know.
Like when you were on shows, like, did you find like, I'm fascinated by design shows. I love them. I mean, who doesn't love a good design show?
I know.
But when you were doing a show, was there anything like they wanted you to do differently for the market?
Definitely. Like I mean, like all networks, there are advertisers, there are sponsors, that kind of thing. So for sure, when you're doing a design show, a lot of times the materials you're going to use or the furniture and those kinds of things are going to be, you know, you're going to have like a choice of available sponsors and things like that. So for sure. But I had a very, very, very good experience on all the shows. Like I never was told like, you know what I mean? I was never told like, oh no, you can't do that, or that won't look good, or this doesn't. So I had a really great experience. And yeah.
Do you miss it? Would you do another show?
I would. So of course, when it happened, the first show, they asked us if we would do it. I was like, absolutely not.
Really?
Like, I am not going to renovate a house, move, and have cameras in here. And Greg was like, what? Absolutely, yes. Like, you are going to do this. And I'm super private and very shy. So I was like,
you're so good on TV.
God.
Oh my God, guys, go Google her, watch
I
everything.
honestly was very like opposed to it, but was able to get through it because it was just like, oh no, I'll just concentrate on the renovation, whatever. I'll just do my thing. And then I'll just forget that the cameras are there. And then it turned out that the crew, they were always so amazing. We had such a good experience that I would absolutely do it again.
I love that.
Even though in the beginning I was like, no way. I am not going to let a camera into
that's
our
interesting because I was like, every time we had a house, every time we were moving, I'm like, maybe this one we should do a show about.
Yeah.
And Yannick's the opposite. Yannick's like, no.
I know.
I don't want any. I said, you don't want anybody to see how much we fight. You want everybody to think that.
Now that would be a fun show. That would be a really fun show. I'm like,
why
You'd
didn't
be so
anybody want to
perfect.
know how
They do want to know.
sassy we are?
Oh, they do. Trust me. It would be like, yes, you have to do it. Honestly.
Could you imagine?
I can.
I don't know what the future holds for us at all. And it was funny because when you came in here today, I was so nervous about you seeing the house. So
my God.
I'm like,
I love it.
She likes
It's so amazing. And I see so much of you in it, which is so brilliant. Like I love when somebody's home expresses their personality and you just like, it's fabulous. It's fabulous. It's sassy. It's gorgeous. It's you.
Thank you.
It is.
I'm like so happy because I said to Yannick, I said, we need to now start doing houses that people see both of us in. You know,
Yeah.
like because he likes the sleek lines and everything. But anyway, so that's
that. I see that here.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah,
he's
I do.
represented.
Yes, totally.
Okay, good.
I think this is a really good melding. We're both so crazy, obviously. Maybe we can edit it so we don't seem crazy. It's okay.
people love
We own it.
crazy.
Yeah, you gotta own your.
But you would die of boredom in one spot, don't you think?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Because even when you're done the place in New York, you were saying earlier,
yeah.
you guys are gonna do gardens and grow food.
Yeah, no, I always like I don't mind being busy and just like doing that. I would do another historic home. I love rehabilitating those historic homes. So I would.
Well, maybe I will buy that house, and it is a store. It's from the 1800s.
Oh my God, it's stunning. I saw the photo. It is special. I love it.
So maybe I'll need to. But you're going on to another project, right?
Yep. But just for 8 months, probably.
Oh,
yeah.
So there you go. Okay, I have to ask you this one question. Well, two questions actually, because you're going upstate New York. When you have gardens, are you planning on having chickens?
Ooh, that's a good question. So our neighbors all have chickens, and
Really?
Greg has this fantasy of having chickens and having, vegetable gardens and stuff like that.
Yes.
But I just don't know how full time we're going to be there.
Right.
And so if we're not there,
That's the
then I don't
thing.
think I can have any.
I know. Because people say that to me.
Animals.
Oh, your place up north. Like, what do you do? And I've tried having my own garden, like doing cucumbers and just like the summer
Yeah,
essentials,
sure.
like salads, stuff for salad and whatnot. But it really requires so much love and
I know,
energy. And when I'm
maintenance.
up there, I'm working.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
It's marina season for me.
Yes.
So I feel a little sad about that because it is a dream of mine to do that.
Well, maybe one summer you'll be there. You know what? I don't know.
Maybe someone will come and give me lots of money for the marina. And I can just go be a customer.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I think I would have a hard time walking into my marina and someone else own it.
You astound me with you have more energy than I think I'm bad, but babe, you've got like books and your podcast and your business and the marina and the oh my gosh, it's amazing.
I am
is
tired.
incredible.
It doesn't go with my whole idea of simplifying my life. I'll tell you that much for free.
Well, we can dream. No, as long as you enjoy the chaos of it.
Yeah.
I saw a little flash of the Martha Stewart thing actually, and
I watched it. Yeah,
fully owned. Hey, I like to be busy. I like to get up this early and do this stuff. And I feel like when you own it, that's where the power really comes in.
Well, and then it's not chaotic and it's not stress, right?
Yeah.
Then it's the thing that keeps you motivated and keeps you young.
Yeah.
Because she's in her 80s, no?
I don't remember if it's 70s or 80s.
But she's
amazing.
walking around her
I know.
gardens
I know.
she owns the place because she does own the place. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
impressive.
It is impressive. And I think that's another thing that we do that's a disservice to ourselves is that notion that when you hit a certain age, you got to wind it down.
Totally.
I think you need to be cognizant and be mindful of the needs of your body as it ages.
For sure.
But I think that winding down thing it actually works in reverse.
It does. And all of those blue zone places, they say that those, the people that are reaching 100 and whatever, they don't retire and just sit sedentary. No. They're active with purpose and all of those things. So we have to shatter that idea.
I agree with
100%.
Shatter it. I like that term. Shatter the idea of stopping.
Yeah.
Because, and I think as we age, we need to be more social.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
I think it helps,
think
keeps
so.
you young, gives you something to look forward to.
Yeah. Those
We could
connections.
go for hours and hours. What?
I have one thing I was going to bring up to you that I just remembered because I forgot when we were talking. And then I was like, what is that thing? Do you feel like when we had our kids?
I'm in the hot seat now.
Yeah. That there was this sort of view of being a stay-at-home mom or whatever that was not respected. And now you see these young girls coming up on TikTok and Instagram and they're just
Owning it.
going for it and loving that thing.
100%.
I feel like when somehow we we were of that generation that was that was not something.
Yeah, it was not something to respect and hold.
And maybe that's why we felt so much that we were always like, okay, well, what do I have to be then? If,
Well, I think, were we also raised by the first generation of feminists?
well, my mom doesn't consider herself that, but I think she just embodied it for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I think that there was a lot to do with that. Like I was a latchkey kid.
Yeah.
Like I wore my key around my neck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because most of my life, my mom was single.
Yeah.
So I feel like there was a lot of when I grow up,
Yeah.
I'm going to be out of the house.
Yeah.
But then when I had my kids, although there was this hugely ambitious side to me, there was also really wanting to be the one that raised them. But I was an actress,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And I remember because I was 19 and 21. And when I was 21, from 21 to 23, I was an Argo cheerleader. When Wayne Gretzky, John Candy, Bruce McNall, they owned the team. So we were like, there were 55,000 people in the stands every game. It was a big deal. And I remember I was acting at the same time. And an agent said to me, you got to imagine, you've got to be pretty fit to be a cheerleader.
Oh my
right?
God.
So, but I had an agent. I was like, why am I not getting auditions? Like Yannick was getting auditions. And she said, well, you're a mom. I said, well, I'm 21, 22.
That's crazy.
What are you talking? Like, I'm young. She goes, yeah, but everybody knows you're a mom, meaning casting.
Yeah. That's
so
crazy.
casting could not see past that I was a mom. But fucking my husband was the same age and they weren't looking at him like he was a dad.
Yeah.
So that really stuck out to me. And
I hope that's changed now because
what it made me feel was you couldn't do both. Like I couldn't be a mom and fulfill my dream of being an actor. And not because I wasn't capable, but because that industry, certainly in this country, couldn't look past it.
had decided.
Yeah,
that
the
was
casting agents had decided that I was a mother, but they hadn't decided Yannick was a father.
Yeah.
So the double standard really stuck out at me, and it made me angry.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because I could shake my thing in front of 55,000 people, and none of the people watching me dance were like, "That's a mom. That one there's a mom." You know what I mean? They were like, "That's a cheerleader." You know?
Oh my God! Thank God that's kind of. I think for sure that's gotta.
So
changed.
I think it's beautiful that we're seeing. We're getting to that sweet spot of people allowing others to do whatever feels good.
Yeah, I think we are too. And we can be all these different things.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also you young moms on social media who are out there making your mom journey look like it's fucking perfect, and your kids, your whole aesthetic, your kids dress according to your social media color palette. That's also not that's also a little crazy. We gotta watch out for that too, because that in of itself is a sickness and a disservice to the journey of momming, which is messy.
Oh my God, so messy, so fun. So
fun, beautiful. Have a good time with it, but like, let's also be realistic about let's embrace the whole of the mom journey.
Definitely.
Okay, and then my final question is, if you had a crystal ball, where do you see Danielle in 5 years? If you could be where you envision. Where is that place? What does it look like?
Okay. So I think this is going to sound really lame. I did this same sort of, it's like a trend on Instagram where you ask ChatGPT to write a day in your dream life.
No way.
And you tell it it was uncanny. It was
Come on.
No, it was so amazing. And so personally for me, it involved waking up, lighting a fire in the house. I'm in the country house. I do a little bit of yoga and stretching, and then something about picking food from the garden and creating this healthy breakfast or whatever. And then going to one of my projects, which is restoring a historic home and coming back and doing this thing, painting a little bit.
Like painting, like as an artist?
Yes. I just have this real sort of urge to do that at the moment.
Have you ever done it?
When I was younger, but I have not in 30 years. But I just feel really
Because mumming.
drawn to do it. Yeah. Yeah. And then just like this lovely family dinner at the end of the day, and, you know, just having the time and the luxury to make food from scratch, and like all of the things that I feel like I've been so short on time for the last 30 years, just really kind of like time, that is the luxury for me, I think.
I love that. And I'm like, I feel that so deeply.
Yeah.
Because time.
Yeah.
The luxury of time.
Yeah.
To just live.
Yeah.
Live a holistic life.
Yeah.
And by holistic meaning like at your own pace.
Exactly.
Doing things that are good for you. Like that are like, I mean good for you, like on a cellular soul level.
Totally. I had a very close friend who passed away about 1.5 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And before she did, it's really changed a lot. That's why like I just kind of did stuff, sold the house, did this thing, bought the house in the States, because she said, don't wait. Like you don't know. But she also told me like, one of the things she had realized is that our life, meaning things that we have to do, whether it's going to the grocery store, cooking, helping your family, doing the laundry, these sort of like everyday things.
The mundane.
Yeah. It's like that should actually take about 80% of your energy, and only about 20% should be going to your work or whatever. And for so many of us, it's like
the opposite.
Obviously the opposite. In fact, probably more, 90, 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I had let so much of that healthy living, like you said, things that are good for you, whether it's staying, like, you know, having the time to, I don't know, move, go to the gym, do whatever. That just like was not my priority. It just went out the window. And so I really, really want to try to get some of that back, and just taking the time. And then, as you said, like living in the city, it can be so expensive. So we almost don't have the choice. We have to do all that work just to like, you know, pay the bills. And like, I don't know.
And that, all that beautiful, juicy stuff could take us on a whole nother, you know, path of conversation about how our cities are not set up for families to thrive. So hard. And to connect, and the cost of life doesn't allow for women to be home with their children, you know? So, making those pockets of time, you know, where you can reconnect and really make children, if you have them, marriage, if you're in one, friends,
parents,
and making people priority, you know, making those times and connection. Like, you know, we went to Florida. Yeah. It wasn't ideal. It's right before Christmas, but it was the opportunity to be completely in a family reunion with Yannick's entire side of his family, which we don't get to often, you know. His dad was in Belize for years. His sister lived in the US, and brothers in Calgary, and another brother in New Zealand, you know. So just really, really focusing on making the time, not waiting for the time to come. Because just like we said earlier with kids, is like, if you are waiting for the right time to have children and you're waiting for the right time to connect with the people that are important to you,
there's never going to be a right
time. Well, there's no
Yeah.
guarantee for tomorrow.
It's true.
Right? So you got to
Yeah.
do it today when you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
See it? And we wondered what we were going to yap about. Look at us. I think we've got almost 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, I loved having you on. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out.
I always love chatting
I
with
know.
you.
We got to do more of it because we do love
Yes.
spending time together.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
thanks again.
Thank
Guys, make sure follow, comment, share with all your friends. It really helps a little podcast like mine get out to other people who would love hanging out with me and Danielle. And look in the show notes for where you can go find her and check out all the shows that she's been on. And we will see you next time on Without Losing Your Cool.
I hope you enjoyed that episode, and I thank you for being here and hanging out. If you've missed past episodes, click up here. And if you're not subscribed, you got to click right down here. Get on that, will you?